Hello, and welcome to I Hate Talking, a podcast about talking, including etymology, frustrating topics, current events, and other random subjects. I'm Adam.
And I'm Steph. We are married, and we invite you into these discussions with us as we talk about the good and the bad of talking.
We hope you enjoy today's episode. Welcome to episode 32 of I Hate Talking.
Hi, everyone.
So we do know what episode number it is this time, assuredly, and we also know the position of our own bodies.
Oh, yeah. I was like, wait, well, yes, I'm sitting in my chair at my desk.
And you would have known that even with your eyes closed?
Yes.
And that's due to a ability that the human body has called proprioception.
Proprioception?
Proprioception.
Okay. What does that mean?
So that is the brain's ability to know the position of the body without any particular movement or stimulus outside of its own thinking. So you don't need to be touched or move or feel anything to know the position of your own body.
Okay. Like how you can feed yourself with your eyes closed.
Yes, exactly. I suppose you could do that. I don't know if I've ever tried to do that.
I'm pretty sure I have.
You just were pretending to see what it would be like if you were blind, or you're just experimenting with proprioception?
I don't know, or like in games. It's like a very common, right? Like close your eyes or I'm just really sleepy when I eat. People do that, right?
I'm not sure. Our listeners can comment, email, send us a text. Let us know if you have ever attempted to eat with your eyes closed as some form of game or self-entertainment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there is a game that we have that we play as a family. I forget what it's called right now. But you put these like goggles on and it makes everything upside down. And then you're supposed to draw pictures or do activities and everything's upside down, right? It's really fun. We all laugh. And a way that you cheat on that game is you close your eyes and then you're able to draw the picture better or do stuff like that.
Well, it's not cheating if it's not prohibited in the rules.
That's true. It doesn't say not to. But you, instead of looking upside down and doing things, because even for that, eating, because that's one of the tasks, is like taking a bite of something with those goggles on. But when you're looking and you're upside down, the proprioception doesn't work.
I suppose that's true because, yes, you're getting mixed signals from your body position in terms of proprioception versus your ocular input that is seeing something that is reporting a different experience.
Right. So, yeah, when we have those goggles on that make us feel like we're upside down, when we're putting something in our mouths or drawing, we completely miss the mark. But if you close your eyes, even with the goggles on, we successfully can do those tasks.
And some people have described proprioception as the sixth sense. So in addition to your smell and taste and touch and sight and hearing, that proprioception is the sixth sense. So no shade to Bruce Willis and his sixth sense, but that is, I think, a more legitimate sixth sense that everyone has.
Yeah, I like that one better than seeing dead people.
Precisely. And speaking of seeing things that aren't real, we'll be talking about a dream in this episode.
Oh, is this a dream you had this week?
It is.
Because, okay, y'all, I dream a lot. I remember my dreams often. Adam doesn't seem to. And he kept talking in his sleep the other night. Is this the night that you were talking?
Precisely.
It was so weird. I kept thinking you were talking to me or something. I'd wake up and be like, what? Are you okay? What's going on? And you're like, huh? Like you were obviously asleep. And it was weird that you were having conversations in your sleep because that doesn't normally happen.
It is very odd. And not only do I not remember my dreams typically, it is also very typical that I don't even remember dreaming at all.
Yeah, that's what you say. Me and most of our kids remember our dreams very vividly almost every night, but one of our kids doesn't, and you don't. But yeah, so I asked the next morning, I was like, what happened last night? Were you okay? You were talking in your sleep, which I'm not sure I've ever experienced with you. Some of my siblings talk in their sleep, and that's something I grew up with, sharing a room with them. I don't know if you've ever talked in your sleep at night. And you were like, oh, I just had some really weird dreams last night. So, okay, tell me about these dreams you had or dream.
Yes, it is singular dream. It was only one dream that I recall.
Mm-hmm.
I may have had more than one, but there was only one that I distinctly remember and actually, again, remember quite a few details about. And there are 4 significant takeaways from this dream that I will share with you as well as our audience.
Like, you think the dream meant something?
I do.
Okay. Oh, good dose of dreams. I can't wait.
So the dream, to set the stage, took place outside. It was perhaps at like some sort of residence where a number of people were sitting in chairs on the lawn.
Did you know these people?
You were there.
Oh, that's good.
Pretty sure there were other people that I knew from various things that we have within our lives as different social engagements.
Like present day things or just in life?
Present day
History.
things,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so present people and me. Check.
Sitting in chairs in the lawn of a backyard of a residence.
Okay. I believe that so far. That's realistic.
And there may have been a fire pit, not quite sure, but there was definitely some sort of light source that was different than a electrical light in terms of like a floodlight or
wow, this is like detailed. Okay.
back porch light of some sort. Yes.
Okay. Probably fire. I mean, we always have fire pits with our friends. Got it.
Then there is a stairway that goes up to a landing on the second floor. And this is steel, some sort of gray metal, interwoven grating of some kind. And the specific thing of note is that there are no railings on the stairway, as
scary.
well as no railings on the landing, which is at least 12 to 14 feet elevated above the lawn.
Wow, that's scary. That's not up to code.
Indeed. So I guess, shall I continue in the narrative of the dream or pause for the particular takeaways at each step?
Tell me the whole dream. This is super interesting because this is very detailed and very uncharacteristic of you.
Precisely.
Okay, go on. So we're hanging out. Are we happy or are we having a good time or is this not a good time?
It's some sort of social event. Yes. So
Was I trying to get you to sit next to me?
No, this is
Cuddle
that
you?
had
'Cause I do
had
that a
no
lot at
that had no
social
part.
events.
You do play a part in the dream, but it's
Oh,
it's
okay.
not that one.
Am I a good part? Oh, no.
We'll see.
Oh, no. Okay, keep going.
So that's the stage. We have the lawn, a number of people, you included, from real social interactions. The fire pit, the stairway, no railing. The landing, no railing. Some sort of light source on the second floor.
It was on top. Like the fireplace or something was on the second floor?
No, there's just a floodlight
or
a some sort of back porch light type thing
okay.
at the back of the residence on the landing.
This is okay. Yeah, I'm following it.
Then our smallest child makes an appearance.
Oh no, I feel like this is going to be sad.
And he is very rambunctious and energetic and is running up the stairs with no railing.
Very realistic.
And going to the landing and in some way trying to interact with the light source on the second level landing.
Okay, I feel like I don't like where this is going. He is our kid that has fallen and broken his collarbone. from playground equipment at parks before. So this is scary.
So then it does shift from a enjoyable social experience of some sort where everybody's having a good time to one of concern, because everyone, including myself, begin yelling to this small child to be careful or come down, or just, all the different things that one might expect to be communicated to a small child in potential danger, 14 feet above the ground with no railings on the stairway or landing.
Yeah, that's scary. I don't like that.
So this small child then becomes very animated and becomes unstable on his own feet and is going in many different directions, trying to sort of see what's going on, or losing his balance, or something is happening because
everyone's yelling at him.
Because
That's
everyone is yelling.
I'd just be like, everyone stop talking.
And then
I'd run up there and get him.
He tumbles backwards off of the landing.
Oh no. This is so sad.
So I'm trying to remember that there's four things. And this is perhaps, even as I've rehearsed some of this, interesting to note that it is difficult to remember dreams and that it's somewhat hard to recall the exact specifics.
But do you have a feeling? Sometimes I can't remember exacts, but I have a feeling in my stomach or in my shoulders of how I felt.
Yep, I'll have to think and pause here. Yes, okay. I remember the next thing that happens. So then I get up out of my chair.
Because we're all just sitting there screaming the whole time.
And I...
That wasn't good.
I guess it's a dream, right? So it doesn't really exactly flow in a normal state of actual physical ability.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm midway up the stairs as he is falling backwards off of this 14-foot platform. And then I cannot reach him. I could not catch him. But I was able to extend my leg and my foot and nudge him as he was falling past me, and he then landed on his feet.
Wow, you're a hero.
And then there was still some sort of injury because he was crying and making it known to the world that there was a problem. So I rushed to him and held him and inspected his legs and feet.
Okay.
And then I believe that's sort of where it ends, perhaps. Maybe I do seem to recall there was maybe emergency services called or something of that nature, but then it sort of just peters out in vague recollection, and I don't really recall a specific ending.
So do we know what the light source was or what happened?
So I guess perhaps there's even a fifth and sixth thing that I don't think are really life lessons per se, but are perhaps reasons and an impetus for what actually happened in the dream. So the light source played a part in why this particular child was going up the stairs to this platform, is because they wanted to interact with that particular light source.
Okay.
And then upon inspection, his right leg or ankle was noticeably broken. And it is interesting to note that ever since a hike that we've done a few weeks ago, my right ankle has been hurting. So perhaps a relationship there.
Okay. Huh.
So that's the fifth and sixth things that, again, are not really particular takeaways or life lessons, but perhaps some of the impetus for why these particular details are in the said dream.
Okay, so do you want to explain the rest of it, or can I give my real quick overview, just hearing it, what I think?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, just you saying my right ankle hurt and his right ankle was broken, and we were up high. When we went on that hike, we were really high. We went with our kids. It was high. And some parts were scary. I kept telling our one kid, not that kid that you're talking about, a different kid, like, stay on the path. Because if you just stepped off, it was a steep drop. And they were, just being little kids and playing, and I had to keep nudging them closer to the wall. And there was even a part that you went down first and you would take one kid at a time because it was too narrow and steep to send all of us. So we'd send one kid and they'd come back to me, and then we'd send the next kid. And so maybe like the light source of how pretty it was and the waterfalls we saw, and like, but your ankle hurting, and just, I don't know, maybe you're self-conscious of remembering how scary it was with these little kids and how we could have easily fallen without railings. That's my quick second from hearing this just right now. So tell me your takeaways.
So 4 takeaways in particular. One is how humankind has built things that are dangerous in and of themselves that would not really necessarily occur in nature. Now, obviously, you're describing things on this hike that are relatively natural with some cliff facings and trails that go right along the edge of particular dangers, but those would be few and far between, right, in terms of like a normal terrain and things of that nature. And if you did encounter that, it would be relatively easy to see that that was a danger. Whereas this particular stairway and platform are manufactured in such a way that it seems normal, but because there is no guide rail or railing, that it is in fact dangerous, and that humankind actually manufactures danger. So as another example, the average maximum running speed of a person is anywhere from 17 to 18, maybe 19 miles per hour. There are Olympic athletes that will run much faster than that, in the 20s, up to high 20s miles per hour. But for your normal person, you're going to be 17, maybe 18 miles per hour. And it is interesting to note that the human body can withstand an impact with little to no damage at 18 to 19 miles per hour.
Huh. Okay.
So if you run as fast as you can into a natural formation, such as a tree or some sort of natural object, so we're not talking about like a brick wall or something like that where it is, again, man-made, because that will have actually a different impact. But taking into account the example of a tree, if you run into a tree at 19 miles an hour, there's a pretty good chance that you will survive and have relatively minor injuries.
Huh. Except for Sonny Bono.
Who?
Sonny and Cher.
This is before my time.
Well, it was before mine, too. That's how he passed, was he ran into a tree. He was skiing and ran into a tree.
Well, skiing, exactly. This proves my point, that skiing is not a natural activity of a person, but that skis were manufactured and therefore cause this particular person to travel at a higher velocity than they would normally be able to achieve.
You can ski faster than 18 miles an hour?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And I think most people are going to travel at faster than 18 miles an hour almost every day inside of a motorized vehicle,
right?
Which again is not natural. And that is why a lot of people will have serious injuries if they are in a car accident, is because they're traveling faster than this 18 to 19 miles per hour.
Interesting. Okay.
So that is the first takeaway, is that humankind has manufactured danger that is outside of the natural limits of the human body.
Okay.
Number 2 is something that you already alluded to, is that the particular child in question was caused to fall in some form or fashion as a direct output of the yelling and shouting to be careful.
Yeah, I see that a lot, especially at parks or whatnot. Often, if you're like, stop, slow down, or, be careful, the kid starts getting more wobbly. Versus, like, in my heart, so many times I want to scream those things because I'm so anxious watching them. But if I'm quiet and just watch them, they successfully do it. I mean, obviously, not always. Sometimes you do have to intervene. But that screaming will startle them and make them second guess themselves and make them nervous. And if they're nervous, then they're more likely to fall.
Precisely. And that is the exact takeaway, is that there are people yelling or shouting at them, that could cause that reaction of being startled, and therefore actually put them into a place of greater danger because they are now not as sure-footed, or whatever the case may be. I myself was counted among those people yelling and shouting at this particular child in the dream. And not only, I think, is there the takeaway that we should remain quiet at certain points, that also perhaps we can change the temperament of the communication, as well as what is being particularly communicated, in a way that is soft and encouraging. And instead of saying, don't do this, or even be careful, is put your hand here or put your foot there, so that you can achieve the desired output and be able to help in that regard. So that is the second takeaway.
Okay.
So we have so far manufactured danger and the shouting, which caused the startlement in this particular child. And then third is the non-reaction, or the non-action, I guess, of everyone around me except myself, where I feel as I'm the only one taking action to take action, or to be of some value to this particular child in this situation.
Well, that goes back probably way back into your life and your mental beliefs. Because I think very often you tend to live in a way that if you don't do it, it won't get done.
Yes, either won't get done or won't get done correctly. So this is somewhat self-critical, because that may be a incorrect view.
Well, you just put a lot of pressure on yourself, always. Like in that situation, you did the right thing. You had to go save your child. But I think sometimes, if you take a step back and breathe, let someone else try, or let someone else take the lead, and they can. You do so well at it. I think people just tend to sit back and let you do it. And you know how to do many things well. And I do think that goes back to something that you've been working on, where it doesn't have to always be you for everything.
Indeed. So that is the third takeaway, is that in some form or fashion, I am seeing myself as the only one taking action, but not necessarily saying that it is the correct thing or even the real thing.
And then
fourth and final is, as I was extending my leg and foot to nudge the particular child to change from a action of tumbling backwards to redirecting his motion to one that made him land on his feet, is that you cannot necessarily avoid every dangerous situation or every negative outcome, but perhaps you can make it better. That I could not reach out and collect the child, or I could not prevent the fall to begin with, but that by extending my leg and my foot, I did arrest his backwards rotation, allowing him to land on his feet instead of his head.
Nice. So what was that fourth again? Just like summed up.
By a nudge, you can avoid a terrible outcome and instead achieve a bad outcome.
So small change, like a small change can actually do a lot versus doing nothing at all.
Almost. But I think the point also is that there wasn't even the ability to do a big change. That the only thing I could do was a small change. And the small change resulted from the avoidance of a catastrophic outcome to one that was simply bad and unwanted.
So you did what you could.
Yes.
Even if it wasn't what you wanted to do completely, you did what your limits allowed you to do.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's it. That's the 4 takeaways that I had was manufactured danger and the shouting causing startlement and the action that I took, as well as the nudge that resulted in the avoidance of a catastrophic outcome. And then there was the 5th and 6th things, which were, I don't know. See? Well, there you go. So
something about your leg.
Oh, yes, that's right. The light source as like the impetus of this whole scenario, and then my ankle hurting that also was reflective in the fact that that was a particular outcome of this incident as well.
That was a pretty realistic dream. When you started talking about a light source, and our kid running to it, I thought you were going to say like, he's running towards the light and we were going to lose him. And like, oh, I was not going to like that dream. Sounds horrible.
Now, I have had dreams before, mainly in my childhood, not as much in my adult life, but I don't really recall them ever being unrealistic.
Interesting. I had a recurring dream, if we're talking about dreams, throughout my childhood, and I had it recurring often until we got married, which is a whole Freudian thing, I'm sure. But it was of my father. And my dream, he was passing, and he wanted all his friends to come have his funeral with him before he passed. And then me and my mom are sitting there waiting for him to pass. And my siblings are like running amok in the background. And I was so frustrated with them because I'm like, don't you see what's happening? And I woke up so many times. I would go in my parents' room and cry to my dad. And I had this dream. I have not ever had it since we got married. I remember it vividly and how I felt in it.
Interesting. So perhaps our listeners would be interested in hearing more details about that particular dream and perhaps some of the either real or perceived meaning therein. So if you have enjoyed this episode, please like and share this particular podcast, as well as leave us a comment or send us an email or text with perhaps some of your feedback on either my dream or your interest in hearing our co-host's dream. So, from your friends at I Hate Talking, until next time, remember, it is only through talking that we begin the journey to understanding.